Every day, a schedule trigger fires an HTTP request into Perplexity AI, which uses AI to scan the web for relevant news articles on AI agencies, and AI startups. Following on from this node, we've got an OpenAI node, which uses the data from the HTTP request to create 3 LinkedIn posts. And the final node in this workflow sends me these 3 LinkedIn posts on Telegram. So we can then come into our Telegram, and here are my 3 posts. I can then edit these posts in Telegram and then copy and paste them straight into LinkedIn to send them off and to completely simplify the posting process, saving hours of time per week. So how did I build this? As with all workflows, we need a trigger. And like I said in the demo, this trigger is going to be on a schedule. So we want it every day at 6 p.m. so I can make a post then, which is an optimal time for me to post on my LinkedIn. So we've added the schedule trigger. I want it at 6 p.m. every day. And I'm aware that you guys aren't going to be able to see this next one underneath here, but this is just going to be set to 0 as I want it at 6 p.m. with 0 minutes. And this one, which you can't see, is the minute block. So after the schedule trigger, I'm going to make an HTTP request. And what an HTTP request basically allows you to do is allows different applications to speak to each other. So we can be here in NAN and we can make an HTTP request to Perplexity AI, which basically allows us to use Perplexity AI to web scrape with AI and then return it back to NAN. So this is going to be a post method because Perplexity is posting us data. This is the URL which we need to access the Perplexity API. And then we need to send some headers. So in Perplexity, we need to go and grab our API key. I'll put a link in the description of how you can do this and then add it into here as an HTTP request. So we need to turn the headers on and we need to add some parameters in here. So for our API, we need to add authorization as the name and we need to add our actual API key in the value. Remember guys, never share your API key, so I'll be adding in mine off screen. But I forgot to mention, when you're adding in your API key, before you add it in, you should write bearer first, and then you can copy and paste your API key with 1 space in between. So we also need to turn send body on because this is basically going to allow us to send data to Perplexity AI on what actually we want to web scrape through their API. So we can do this through JSON and we're going to be doing using JSON. So this is the code which we need to add in to make that API request to Perplexity AI. So the model is Sona, so that's one of their web scraping AI models. Feel free to just copy and paste this in. I'll add a link in the description to this code here. And for the content, I've got what is the latest news about AI agents and AI startups. So this is basically going to scrape the web for this request and use AI to return relevant articles and a summary of those articles, which we can then use to write our LinkedIn posts. So to actually write our LinkedIn posts, we need another AI step to actually do that for us. So we don't even have to bother about writing them ourselves. So I'm going to use OpenAI for this, and it's going to be messenger model. Again, I'll leave a link in the description on how you can connect your OpenAI credentials. Mine are already connected, and I'm going to be choosing GPT-4 Mini as it's the cheapest model. So I spoke about in my last demo, to actually connect these 2 nodes up, we need some data. So first I'm going to fire up that HTTP request to hopefully get some data, which we can then add into our OpenAI node. So now we should be able to test our step and it should hopefully return us some data. So that means it's worked. And now we've just got to wait a sec for it to return some data. So now we've got that data, we can add it into our OpenAI node. So here is the content. It appeared in the choices column in the table. You can see here, it's got all of our LinkedIn post content, which we're going to be using then to write our LinkedIn post. So we can just drag and drop this straight into our OpenAI node. Now I'm going to write at the start, here is some information to base LinkedIn. Here is some information to base the LinkedIn posts off. And then as well as this, we need to add a system message. So this is basically going to be telling the AI agent what to do with this information, how to structure our LinkedIn posts, what tone to write them in, etc. So like I highlighted in the last video, we can actually use AI to write these prompts. So I'm going to be heading over to ChatGPT and asking it to write an AI agent prompt for LinkedIn posting. So let's see what it returns. It's not always going to return something perfect, but then we can go ahead and edit that and refine it properly for our use case. So it's returned me a decent prompt. There's nothing about how long the post should be. So I want to keep mine to just about under 200 words. And I also want it to make 3 LinkedIn posts. So I'm just going to add that in now. It should return me something better. So I've added this prompt in. The AI agent should return 3 LinkedIn posts to allow me to choose my favorite. Each post should be 200 words. Add these details into the prompt. So I'm now going to go ahead and copy this straight into NAN. So into our system message, we can copy and paste that straight in there, and let's have a look. So I did really like it. I just don't want it to return keywords in the tone. I literally just want the post. So I'm going to get rid of them and tidy this up now. So I've given that a little tidy up. Now we can come in to test our SEP and actually see what it returns and see if we like what we see. So it's returned this, but we only have got one content. So it clearly hasn't interpreted what we told it to do quite right. What I can do is come down here and click output content as JSON, and let's have a look. This should make a difference. We'll see what happens. There we go. So now we've got it into 3 separate posts. So finally, what we need to do is send our LinkedIn post to Telegram. So we can come into Telegram and edit these and then actually go ahead and post these in LinkedIn. So we can go add Telegram, send a text message, and I've added my LinkedIn assistant credentials. Again, a link will be in the description of how you connect your Telegram credentials. It literally takes 2 minutes. It's going to be send message. The text is going to be, so I'm going to write in here, post 1. I'm going to add this post in, the first one. Post 2, scroll down, add the second one in, and do the same for post 3 as well. So in terms of adding the chat ID, I'm actually unsure how you do this without finding it out through a trigger step first. So if anyone knows, then please drop a message in the comments. I just normally do this by adding Telegram, and I scroll down to triggers and I go on message. So it's a LinkedIn assistant again. And I'm going to basically go and test my Telegram and get it to put some data in there so then I can find the chat ID. So I'm sending a test message in here and then coming back to NAN and clicking go on this. So we've got an issue. I'm just going to add something random in there so it's not flagging that up. And then I can come into Telegram and it should be waiting for a trigger event. I should have already sent one. Let's do it. Let's have another look. Test. Okay, so that triggered it. Now if we open this in here, we've got the chat ID. So I'm going to copy and paste this and add it into our, I didn't mean to test that there, and add it into our chat ID here. So now we've got the correct chat ID, and that should now send the message into Telegram. It says bad request, please check the parameters. Let's open it up again and see what we've done wrong. I think that might be because it was running before I added that. So let's give it another test now. Delete this as well. So that's executed the workflow successfully. Let's have a look in Telegram now and see what it's returned. So we've got 3 LinkedIn posts here. They're all okay. They look a bit boring. I think they could probably do with some emojis. They could all be a little bit longer. I'm not quite sure. These are 200 words each. So I'm going to come back in and modify my prompt. So we can now come back into our OpenAI node. And I'm just going to play around with the prompt a little bit. I won't spend too long doing this just for the demo purposes, but you can just completely customize your prompt and say, do this or add these emojis in here or write it in this format, and it should do it pretty perfectly. So I'm going to come in here. Each post should, let's add in at the bottom here, use emojis. And now I'm going to say add the facts and information as bullet points. And I'm also going to say, I think because it says be no more than 200 words, that makes it short. So I'm going to say be roughly 200 words. It really just is a kind of game of playing around with your prompt and getting it to output what you want. So if we test this again, this should be better and it should write us some more captivating LinkedIn posts. So while this is running as well, I just wanted to say, if you ever watch videos and you think something's confusing or you don't understand it, guys, just use AI. Ask ChatGPT, or what do I do here, or how do I set up the HTTP request for Perplexity AI, and it will tell you everything. Just click on the web search button and it knows data from the whole web, and it will be able to search the Perplexity AI community or all of its website and basically find exactly how to do that. So just use it as much as you can, guys, because it's an insane tool. So these posts have now come through. I like them a lot more. They're a lot more engaging. They use emojis. Again, they're not perfect, but with more prompting, I probably like this to be a little bit longer with a bit more explanation. But again, I could just ask it to do that and I'm sure it would tweak it appropriately. So now the next step is actually hooking up another AI agent with this chat and basically allowing us to edit it. So I said that I don't really like how short this is and I want more explanation and I maybe want some more engaging questions. If I can link up another agent which is linked up to this chat and I can say post 3 is my favorite, I like it but it needs to be longer, or make this section longer, or take out these emojis, that's just going to again completely fast track our LinkedIn posting process. So let's get stuck into that now. So we're going to add a Telegram trigger. So this is an on message trigger. And generally I do this in another workflow, but for demo purposes, just so it's all in one go, I'm going to do it in here. So in the Telegram trigger, I'm going to open it up. It's going to be our LinkedIn assistant again, and we're going to connect an AI agent to this. So the AI agent is going to be connected to OpenAI, and the model's GPT-4 mini always, as it's the cheapest. We're also going to need to connect this to memory. So that's probably the most important point now, because it's going to allow it to remember the chats and what each post was, and then edit that post accordingly. So we'll put the window buffer memory on. I'm going to do define below. So like I said, again, we need some data into here to hook this all up. So we can come back into our Telegram and just write test. Come back to here, click go on this, and it's got our item put through. So we're going to define below what we're doing, and this test in here. So I've zoomed out to show you guys. So we can add the text in here. So that's basically connected our AI agent up to our Telegram. And the other thing we need to do is add in where it's getting its memory from. So this is going to be the chat ID. So drag and drop this one across here as well. And so we now need to write another prompt for this AI agent. So this is going to be editing our LinkedIn post. So we need to add an option, a system message, and again, I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me write this. So I've added this prompt into ChatGPT and let's see what it returns. This is what I outputted. Like that it's returned me some JSON, but I actually don't want this for this AI agent because it's going to be variable what it outputs. So it's not going to always output the same thing every single time because we're going to be speaking to it. We're going to be saying edit this and edit that, and then it's going to be making the edits accordingly. I'm just going to add in this into our AI agent, and then I'm going to test the step. Okay, so we've got an output here. And the final thing we need to do is connect it back to Telegram. So we're going to get it to send a message. I'm going to zoom back in now as well, just to make it a bit more visible. So chat ID we can get from our Telegram trigger, and the text we're going to be using is from the output from our AI agent. Now we can test the step, and that should have added some data into our LinkedIn. So I keep calling it our LinkedIn. Telegram, which is our LinkedIn assistant, hasn't done that. I'm going to double check why, because I haven't connected the correct credentials. So I need to add my LinkedIn assistant. And I did create two, if you're wondering. One of them didn't work and I had to create another, that's why. So I'm going to test this. And here we go. Seems like you've entered test. Okay, we can come and I think when I click test workflow, it's going to listen for the Telegram trigger. So I'm just going to come and click go on this part of our workflow. The HTTP request comes through, then goes to OpenAI to write our 3 LinkedIn posts, and it sends it to us in Telegram. So we've got 3 decent posts. Say I like post 2 the most, but please make it longer. Out forever. I need to see post 2 to make it longer and enhance it appropriately. So I did encounter some issues when I was testing this build. If anyone knows why this is happening and why clearly my window buffer memory isn't working, we really appreciated that. But anyway, I can just copy and paste to it and ask it to make it a little bit longer. I'm going to say here is the post, make the paragraph after bullet points. So I've copy and pasted that back in. I need to come and trigger my workflow again. And here is the LinkedIn post returned. So the future of AI is upon us, bringing with it a wave of transformation across sectors. Here's what's happening. Formation of the UKI Energy Council, test automation transition, and a global race. So I really like that LinkedIn post, and it's going to make me post like that every single day. And what is really cool is the Perplexity AI is going to return different things on every request because it's just scraping the web. It's not returning a specific URL. It's scraping the whole web, so different things are going to come up every single day. And again, I can just slightly change what I search for. So it might be AI news today, and tomorrow I might search for AI agents or some technology such as NAN or Lovable, and I might ask it, scan the web and see how this is changing software development, etc. So again, this for me, I'm going to be using this a lot to scale my LinkedIn and hopefully build up my personal brand. And there we have it. That's our build completely done. If you like this build, just drop a like, subscribe, and if you've got any questions, I'm on LinkedIn. The link is in my YouTube bio, or drop me a message on there and we can connect. Thanks for listening.